here we are in the whiteboard. Say I'm going to draw one memory location. Say this is a memory location, means this is a RAM, and in the RAM I told the memory is consist of multiple cells, right? That we just talked, and each cell is used to store some value, and you can give name to this particular cells. That till now we had discussed. So for example, let me tell let me put the value, say example 5 to this cell. Okay, I'm going to add two number 5 and 10. Okay, I'm going to add these two number in computer. So when you will add this two number and the output is 15, the 5 will be stored in a place, the 10 will be stored in a place, and the result will be stored in a memory location in a particular cell. Okay, that's part is clear, right? So say 5 is nothing but x, 10 is nothing but y, and this is nothing but a variable called sum. Okay, let it be like that till now. For now, don't go in much in depth in variable. So this cell is having definitely some memory location. Generally when you go for learning computer architecture, you will that moment of time the memory location actually the concepts are quite wider. Like in C we are using a small part of that, but it's a very big concept. So these memory locations have represented with help of some number. Like if in easy way, if I represent, it's represented with 1 2 3 4 5 like that. But in real life scenario it is not represented with 1 2 3 4 5, it is represented with the hexadecimal number like f like that something. But for a moment to make the course easy, let me represent with 1 2 3 4. Means 1 2 3 4 is a location number. Okay, each cell have its own number, like it's 1 2 3 4. The next cell will have 1 2 3 5, next will have 1 2 3 6, 1 2 3 7, 1 2 3 8, 1 2 3 9, 1 2 4 0, like so on, like that. You just understood, it's in a sequence. Just for a moment you take like that. So in order to remember this number is not an easy task. So what we will do, in order to, like you live in a location, right? So in order to represent your location, for example you are living, you can tell 22-degree north, like that, 22-degree north, 365 kilometer far from equator of the earth, and 36.5 degrees south, like that. Do you explain your home address like that? Of course not, because it's very difficult to understand. So what you will explain, for example you tell I live in Kolkata, India. That's it. You explain like that. Okay, or I live in, say example Delhi, India. Okay, or I live in, for example, New York City, USA. So what you do, rather than writing this numbers, you write something which is easier to understand. So scientists came with the same concept, and they told, rather than writing this large number, I will mark this number, represent the number with the help of some letters. Say rather than writing 1 2 3 4, I will tell it X. So if I am telling I stored 5 in cell number 1 2 3 4, okay, or I stored 5 in memory location whose name is X, both meaning same. So rather than telling 1 2 3 4 we stored the value 5, or like ff 2 is the memory location, or ff is the memory location number, rather than telling these things we are telling a number, we are telling a letter, or a or a word. For example a small, you can see like alphabet we are using, like for a variable could be of any name, you can take in a word whatever you want. For example I'm taking the smallest variable X. You can see in childhood in the mathematics we had seen this kinds of variable. So I am storing 5 in this location. For example I want to store 10. So how we will store? To store 10 we will store here, say for example 10 is stored over here. So this cell number is 1235, and I should represent the same cell with some different name. So let me represent it with y. So next time if I am talking about y, means I'm talking about 1235 location, means inside this there is a value like 10. So This memory location is represented with a like is a word is called variable name, or this memory location represented with the name is called variable name, and inside that memory location the value is called constant. I hope that is clear. So why it's called variable? Variable means it will vary. It will be not fixed. Means today somebody taken value of x5. Okay. Maybe somebody like to take 7 for their calculation. So in that moment of time you will use 7. So this location have not a fixed value, right? This location is not having a fixed value. So that moment of time this location is called variable. Just keep in mind this location is called variable if and only if all the locations are not variable. If any location value is not fixed, means it can change, then definitely you can tell this location is nothing but this location is holding something which is varying with time. So this location names the same location name will called variable. But what is constant? Variable have some value. That value could be a constant. Okay. So variable name is the memory location, and whatever the value represented inside that variable is a constant. Okay. So I hope variable and constant is quite clear for you guys. Variable is nothing but a memory location, and inside the memory location we store a value that is called constant. So here in this example x is a variable and 5 is the value of that variable which is a constant number. Okay, the value of the x could be changed. X could be changed from 5 to 7 or 5 to 15 or 18, anything. The value of this memory location could be changed. Okay, so that's why it's variable. But this number 7 means always a 7. Okay, so this is a constant. Okay, so that is about variable and constant. So let me discuss about the types of constant available in the C. So keep heading. Types of constant. Okay, so let me talk about the types of constant. Variable is understood, constant is understood by you. Variable is something which holds the constant. Okay, variable is something which holds the constant. Okay, so there are two types of constant generally present in the C. If we talk about first one is, there are two types of constant available in the C. First one is primary constant and second one is secondary constant. So these primary constant and secondary constant all are chapters we will read. So primary constant example could be, example of the primary constant could be like, let me summarize over here. So it could be integer constant. We will see what is that. Real or float or double all are considered inside a real number. Real constant, real further divided into many parts, float, double. Okay, and there is a character constant. So these are the categorization of primary constant. So don't worry about that. These are the things we will come to know one by one after the session. I'm just giving the introduction. What are the constant available? And secondary constant is nothing but, let me draw here. Here it's array. This is a separate chapter. Pointer, structure, union, and so on. There are n number of things we will see. So right now I'm just giving the name of few. So this is all about the type of the constant. Constant, cause here the spelling is mistake. It will be constant, constant. Okay. So type of the constant are primary constant and secondary constant. So whenever anybody will ask what are the types of constant, you will be in a position to answer. There will be two types of constant, primary constant and secondary constant. So let's discuss about primary constant for now. What is that? So just keep on heading. Primary constant. Okay, so let me discuss about primary constant. So first of all, in the primary constant, that is integer constant, so let me discuss about something, the rules of constructing integer constant. What are the rules involved when you are going to construct an integer? Okay, what are the rules are used to construct an integer constant? Okay, so here you can see the rules. There are lots of rules, but you don't need to remember any of the rule. Just keep on eyes on that, and you will come to know when you start using the language. So first is an integer constant. Here you can see an integer constant must have at least one digit. So means you will tell any number. Integer means like the number without decimals, like 1 2 3 4. Like float or double means 1.2 is called, like when you're writing some number like 1.2 in decimal, it's called decimal number. Float number, double or real, like that. The same thing is that. So you tell a number as an integer, means number, say 2 is an integer, 3 is an integer, like these are without decimal. So you will tell these as a number when at least this is having one digit. Obviously a number will be, should have at least one digit, right? Like I'm not writing anything and I am telling, can you see here, I had written one integer. Where is that, boss? There is not integer available here, because at least one digit is required, like 4 is a digit, like that. So that's the very basic rule. It must not have a prior decimal point. Means there should not be any decimal point available. Like 2.3 is not an integer. Okay. 2.3 is not an integer. It's a real or double. It can be either positive or negative. Like plus 2 will be an integer, minus 2 will be also an integer. Okay. 0 is also an integer. If no sign precedence is given, plus is called, like assumed as, like default. Like if I'm writing 2, I'm not mentioning here nothing, means by default it's plus 2. Okay, that's the one. If you want to write minus 2, you have to explicitly mention. That is the same rule as mathematics. Okay, and there is no comma and blank space are allowed in integer. Like you can't write integer like 23, like that. Okay, this is not on 23. 23 should be written without any space. Okay, and there should not be any comma or any space. Like you can't tell this is a 23, it's a different number. 23 should be together, like that. So this is the a rule. And the range of the integer is from minus 32,768 to 32,767. Means if I am writing x equal to 2, is it allowed? Yes, it is allowed, because 2 falls in the range of this. Minus 32,000 is, for example, here we have minus 32,000 something, minus 32,768, say for example 768, and here plus 32,767. So at that moment of time, is 2 is a valid constant? Yes, because 2 falls inside or in the middle of these two ranges. These are the ranges. So if I'm, means you can declare x equal to 2, but what happens if you go and try to declare like that, x equal to, x equal to say plus, or you don't need to mention plus, by default is plus 32,799. Okay, or 33,000, let's say. So is it allowed? No. In C programming, you can't use an integer to mention this 33,000, because 33,000 is beyond the range, it's outside the range. Means when you talk about 33,000, just come here. When you talk about 33,000, so this 33,000 is in this place after 32,000, so it's not in this range. So that's why this number is not allowed. So that's the rule of the integer. This range you should keep in mind. This is a very famous interview questions actually, and used in real life scenario and projects. So let's discuss about something called, this is integer constant, real constant. Let us discuss about something called real constant. Okay, so rules of constructing the real constant. Okay, what is that? So what are the things? So here is the rule. You can see A real constant must have at least one digit. Yeah, of course. It must have a decimal point. Means you can't tell 2 as a real constant, but you can tell 2.4 or 2 point something as a real constant. Means it's have a decimal part. It could be either positive or negative, of course. Default sign is nothing mentioned, means plus, and no comma and blank space. So you understood what is the difference between real constant and all. Okay. And from exam point of view, if I will tell what is the range of the real constant, so I can tell the range varies in exponential format. Like this is the value, like is 3.4 e to the power 38 to plus 3.4 e to the power 38. Means you have a scientific calculator, just put e to the power 38 and multiply with 3.4 or minus 3.4, you will get a number, a very big number. A real number could be between that. So if you want to keep a number larger than this, for example 33,000, then you can use real constant. So you will tell, since it is not a real constant, or because it's not have decimal part, so how we will make it a real constant, and how I will use, because if you declare your variable x as an integer, then integer can hold at max 32,000 like that. But if you want your x should hold 33,000, so the type should be real. Real means either double or float. So if you want your x to hold the value greater than that, make your x not an integer type. Type should be different so that the range will be bigger. You should make it float or double or real. Okay. So when you make real, after that it have the capacity to hold almost any biggest length number, because this is a very big range. So when you use x as real number or real constant, real variable, that moment of time this variable can hold a very big number. So 33,000 is not a very big, so it can hold more than that, equal to your phone number. Okay, the whatever the phone number digits you have, that much big number can be hold. So that moment of time, how you will put, you will use the same like 33 but with decimal zero. Means if you put decimal zero, yeah, it become the real constant. Okay. So this is the way you can use. But generally the people don't put decimal zero, they directly put 33,000 in, if it is a type of a real constant, and by default the compiler understood, okay, nothing is there, means after the decimal zero is there. So if you want to use, the point is here, don't worry much about that. The point is there, if you want to use a big number than that, guys, go for real constant, make it real. So actually how you tell x is an integer, I will tell you in the future, but let me give you like what is coming in the future. You will tell int x like that. So when you mention int x equal to 2, means your x is an integer which holding 2. If you want to make it as a float or double or real, you will write float x equal to, for example, 33,000 like that. So at that moment of time you can write either like this or like this. So if you mention decimal zero is fine, if not mentioning also, generally the compiler consider it as a decimal. So this is the way we will see, we will use those things in upcoming classes, but still we are in the theory part. So this is about real constant. Let's discuss about character constant. So just come here, let me discuss about something called character constant. So what are the rules actually involved in character constant? So let's come here. So yes, this is about character constant. So character constant should be of one character. Like for example, the integer constant could be a number from minus 32,600, 768 to 32,767. Real constant could be a number between this range, means a very big number. But a character constant value could be a one character, means it could be like this. It could be like A, or it could be B. But for example, like A X or AY is not possible. B M is not possible. Okay, COW is not possible. Why? Because these are not one character. This is two character, this is two character, this is three character. So the value should be maximum one character. The character constant is either a single alphabet or a digit. Digit is also allowed. In C programming, one is number also. And if you are writing one without any inverted comma, just guys note it down in your copy. Very, very important point. If you are writing one only, this means it is an integer. If you are writing 1.2, it is a decimal. But if you are writing 1 again, it is an integer. But when you keep inverted comma, immediately it become an character. So whatever identification of the character is, for example, if you are writing A, is it a character? No, 100% it is not an character. You told I am 100% sure it is a character. Is B is a character? No. A is a character? No. This will be not a complete character in terms of symbol and syntax until and unless you will not keep inverted comma. If you keep inverted comma, now it is a character. If you only write A, compiler will give you uh, error that moment of time. No, 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 this is not correct like that. So if you want to make a character, like if I'm mentioning, like for example, B, or for example I'm mentioning Z, this Z will be not an character until and unless I will not put inverted comma on that. Okay, so writing Z like that is incorrect character, and if I'm mentioning the comma, it is a correct character. That is the first point. But many guys, you have so many symbols actually in your computer screen. The thing is, the point I want to mention, for example, if I'm writing A is a character. But the thing is, when you are mentioning like this, when you are mentioning comma like this inverted comma, for example, you are mentioning like this, generally what you do in your copy, it is an invalid syntax. Because if you are mentioning the comma or whatever the things above that, so that should be going like pointing towards the left. Both should go or point towards the left. Means this one, see, is tell is going towards your left hand from right to left. So it will also go from right to left. If both are going from right to left, it is a correct. So this is a little bit, you should be very take care while you are declaring a character. Otherwise the compiler will throw an error that moment of time. So to get rid of that error, just keep in mind character should be one character, means one uh, alphabet or digit or any special symbols. Means if I'm writing at the rate is a keyword in your computer, it is also a character. But until and unless I will not put this kind of inverted comma, it will not become a complete character. That's the first point. And the maximum length of the character is one character. If you are writing 2, 3, these are not called character in the C. Then what is called that? In the later session we will learn a concept called string. These are called a string. Okay, so those string concept we will learn on the later classes. So this is about the character constant. So I hope this point is clear. So now let us discuss about one more important point of the day, because I want to summarize so many things today. So what are the rules for creating a variable? I told you the rules of creating a constant. So there definitely must be some rules of creating a variable as well. So here you can see there are a few rules, and guys, people when start doing programming in the beginning of the stages, they do lots of mistake in basics because they don't know how to do the things. So the thing is, while creating the variable, many people get error because they don't know the rules of creating the variable. So I'm going to explain what are the rules. The first rule you can see is here is the first character of the variable must either start with the alphabet or underscore. So while reading this, I am giving you some example. You just tell me is it correct or not. So for example, these are some like MCQ based questions as well. Like, is it a correct variable name? Like X. Answer is yes, it is a correct. Y. Yes, correct variable name. For example, I can write www is a correct variable name because start with alphabet and underscore. You just follow this rule. Okay, W is an alphabet. Okay, then for example, salary, that is a correct variable name. Then let me mention about salary. Okay, then me salary already happened. Let me mention about like car. It's a variable. Car underscore speed is a correct variable because we are using underscore. See, no special symbol other than underscore is allowed. Okay, you can max go for underscore in variable name. You can't use any other symbol like Let me give you more example. Okay, for example, car, hash, speed. It's not a correct variable, it's incorrect. This is incorrect because no other special symbols are allowed. Okay, for example, I'm writing a variable name, for example, in underscore x. Is it correct? Yes, a variable name can start with underscore as well as in any alphabet, so it's correct. Underscore www is correct. Okay, can I write like that, like for example a variable like let me tell, let me take a variable like laptop, laptop underscore 123. Yes, it's a correct variable name because your variable start with a alphabet, and the symbol, which special symbol you are using, is underscore, and it is allowed. Does this is allowed, like this variable name is allowed 123 variable name? No, a variable name can't start with any other thing other than alphabet or underscore, like it can't start with number. Like also it's not allowed 123 underscore laptop. It's not allows only because of the correct reason it start with the number. It should only start with the alphabet, and the first point itself you understood, it's not start with like that. So one x is allowed? No. One www is allowed? No, because in all the cases start with the number and that variable is not allowed. Okay, so that's the one point. And no commas and something is allowed, so I can't create a variable like salary. It's not allowed because here is a space, you can see here is a space, so space is not allowed. I can't create a variable like salary and I put comma in the middle, this is also not allowed. Variable should be in one digit. So most of the time, guys, what I do, so these are the rules. So these are the rule. Okay, now let me give you my suggestion, what I will tell you how you should create your variable, so you will not get confused whenever you create your variable. Like for example, so you just try in the beginning of the stage, try with a name. For example, you want to variable for speed, just write speed, that's it. Don't use any other things. Can I write capital S? Yes, of course you can write. Can I use capital E here? You can use anything. Small capital is not an issue, but it should not start with a number. Okay, and any special symbol other than underscore. You can start like, you can start a variable like salary or speed. So you can start with like that. But guys, in the beginning stage, I will not suggest start your variable name with underscore. Like it should not be like at the beginning stage. When you are expert, you should do. But it's my suggestion, it's my opinion, and all the things are up to you. So most of the case I will tell, like if you want to create variable, create like this salary, like something meaningful variable name. For example, you are creating, then again you want to create, just create speed. If you want to create, you can create a price, like something, this kind of variable name you create. Okay, don't use underscore. Even it's allowed, but don't use to make you confused like that. If you want to use, you should use, but not other special symbols. So for example, you are having two variables like price of like burger and price of pizza. So in that moment of time it will be confusing, like price means what, price of pizza and price of burger. So that moment of time you can go for this price of pizza, say equal to $20, like that, something. Price of burger, then you can go for $5, like that. So that moment of time you can use underscore to make this variable name more clarity, like it will provide more clarity, so you will understand what exactly it's talking about. But if not required, go with only one, like price, speed, salary, like that. So these are the rule you should follow while creating the variable. And these are the things like questions we covered, because I told you while discussing we will cover some MCQ parts as well. So these are some concepts I covered which is required for solve MCQ parts in C. So let's quickly discuss more about C keywords. C keywords. C keywords. So how many keywords are there? There are 32 keywords in the C. So your first question would be, what is a keyword, right? So keywords are those words, keywords means words of course, whose meaning already has been explained to the C compiler. What is meaning by that? Means, for example, www. You can take www as keyword, like as variable name. But for example, actually, let me give you one picture so it will create more clarity. So these are keywords used in C. There are 32 keywords. 32. You can count, it's 32 keywords. So there's a very much important questions like in interview room they will ask what is the number of keywords present. So you should be in a position to tell 32 is the number of the keywords. Okay, don't forget this number 32. Okay, so for example, is it a valid statement like integer, or let me not go int now, for just let me tell salary equals to 20,000. Is it a valid statement? Yes, it is a valid statement. Speed equals to 120 kilometer per hour. It's a valid statement. These are the valid things because you are using speed as a variable name. Variable name means name to a memory location. Salary as a variable name. But you can't use this variable name. For example, break equal to 30, like that. It's not allowed because break is a keyword, and keyword you should not use as a variable. So whenever you will use it as a variable, at that moment of time compiler immediately give you an error. So this is not a valid statement at all in C programming. So the thing is, why you should not use break or like for example short or any of the words used in this list. The thing is, the meaning of the break, auto, int is already explained to the compiler. They know what is the meaning of break and why break is used. If you are using break, there is some meaning and you are changing the meaning. See, if you, for example, break is a statement. For example, int is a keyword which denotes whatever, like int, I will mention int in front of salary. So what is the meaning of that? Salary is an integer number. If I will mention float, it is a float number. If I will mention it's double, it's a double number, like that. Okay, if I mention character, means it's a character. So it have its own meaning. But if I'm writing int equals to or whatever, break equal to 30, so you are changing the meaning. For example, I am writing int equal to 500. So guys, at the end of the day you are changing the meaning. It's not the thing. You are assigning 500 in int, means you are replacing what are the contents was inside int with number 500. For example, int was written in like such a way so that compiler understand if somebody is using int means whatever the things after the int is an integer. Okay, is going to hold an integer value, but you are changing its meaning. So these keywords uses are not allowed in variable name. So just keep in mind few of them. Rest of the them you will keep on learning when you will start the coding, because when you write any how you will come to know if you are declaring a variable. For example, you are in the beginning stage, it is your question. I am in the beginning stage and by mistake I choose one name, variable name, which is a keyword. Since I am not aware of all the keywords in this stage, how I will rectify? So whenever you will create a variable and it is an, for example, keyword, so that moment of time, whenever you declare any keyword in the coding window, in the compiler, whatever the compiler you will download, we will see, you will download and write your code. When you use keyword, the color become changed, a different color it become. While declaring a variable like normal, like salary variable and other variable other than keywords, the color will be same. But while declare when you are using like any of the keyword, the immediately color will be changed that moment of time. So by looking at the color change, you should have like immediately it is a notification given by compiler it is a keyword. So that thing comes while you are practicing. And if you are not sure, just run the program. Compiler will automatically tell in which line you had did the mistakes. Okay, so you, and what is the mistake, it will tell you. You are using a keyword and trying to change the meaning of the keyword, so you will understand, okay, okay, that is a keyword, so let me give some different variable name. Okay, so I hope the keyword part is clear. So guys, this is the end of the first chapter where we had discussed about what is C program, constant, variable, everything. This is the end of the chapter. So in the next session we will discuss about some numericals, like some MCQs, and we will see how to deal with that. It's based on some different different examination taken in different different organization and companies, and then we will write our first C code in the later classes. So see you guys in my upcoming video, and I hope you enjoyed this particular class.